This year just keeps getting better, doesn't it? Last season was the true emergence of the revival of the fantasy genre that anime has been asking for so long. And this season, this is the true emergence of the revival of the fantasy genre that anime has been asking for so long. Part 2. Plus romance. Seriously, we have gone 2 for 2 on banger anime seasons, and just like the last one, this season's reason for why it's special relies on its depth. So many shows that could be considered hidden gems and shows that hone in on an unconventional subject like Rakugo or fighting chickens as an example. Another reason why it's this way is because of its small but steady pivot away from the isekai genre and into more greener pastures, like high school romances. If I had a nickel for every high school romance this season that dived into love triangles, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice in one season. I probably made that joke somewhere in one of my other videos before. Laugh anyway! But this show has something for everyone, and I mean everyone. Action, mystery, thriller, suspense, romance, and horror too. It has it all. And I've ranked a lot of them for this tier list ranking. For the last few tier list rankings, I've had to omit several shows that have had plenty of discussion around them, whether it was for good or otherwise, due to time constraints, so you won't see them here. But as is what's basically tradition at this point, I'll go over the shows I haven't watched, but have had many a discussion online across the internet, just to give you a sense as to how deep, how varied, and just how great this season really was in the grand scheme of it all. If you think I should watch these shows, let me know in the comment section, and I'd be happy to get around to it when I get the chance. For this season, that roster consists of Slime Isekai Season 4, Classroom of the Elite Season 4, I Made Friends with the Second Prettiest Girl in My Class, Dr. Stone Season 4 Finale, Gals Can't Be Kind to Otaku, Warrior Princess and the Barbaric King, Farming Life in Another World Second Season, Mistress Kanan? Don't make a joke about that. Don't make a script reading joke about that, please. I beg you. Mistress Kanan is devilishly easy, Agents of the Four Seasons, Needy Girl Overdose, Iruma-kun Season 4, Botan Kamina Fully Blossoms When Drunk, and Mao, just to name a few. If all of those shows were within its own season, that would be a pretty stacked lineup within itself. So if you enjoy these tier list rankings, drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We couldn't be closer to 1,000 subscribers if we tried to be. So help a guy out and let's hit that milestone together. With that out of the way, let's get on to the tier list ranking of every anime I watched for the season of Spring 2026. Re:Zero Season 4. Kicking off this tier list, we have quite possibly the best season yet of Re:Zero, and each passing season always will remind me of the sin I committed by not watching it on day 1 and watching it weekly. I apologize, I was not familiar with your game. Multiple episodes here alone could genuinely be some of the best episodes in recent memory, definitely some of the best for the year, and if a kid nut had his way, he'd slot them as some of the best episodes of all time. Shaola is introduced and she's just so fun. Great character, plenty of mystery to be deciphered around her, would motorboat time and time again. The story also just keeps taking turn after turn after turn, and I can't help but be in awe with every passing lore drop, especially with Meili in particular. Her story was heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, and pretty insane all in one. It was kinda mind-boggling, but that's the understatement of the century. Subaru was already an all-timer character in anime through way of memes about him dying tens of thousands of times, but now he's becoming an all-timer character through his actions, personality, and development into the person he is now. It's unfortunate that we have to wait another 2 months for the rest of the episodes to air, just like we did for season 3, but I can't possibly imagine that a dip in quality would somehow show itself in a season as absolutely peak as this. That's why I'm putting what's aired so far of season 4 in S tier, and I can predict with certainty that the last few episodes yet to come will be there too. The Ramparts of Ice. Let's start with the good here. When anime do their cliche inner monologues, it usually just gives a perspective of their POV of whatever situation they're in, nothing past that most of the time. This show avoids that by perfectly incorporating the character's ability to understand body language, leaving for the inner monologues to actually mean something. It makes for a realistic viewpoint when we see characters start to overthink about certain aspects of their interactions with one another. This is what makes this show stand out among the massive conglomerate of high school romance anime. Also, it's fuck Momo all day, every day. All my homies hate Momo. Now for the not as good. Why is it that when an important character interaction happens, whether it's meeting someone for a first time or something that moves the plot forward, it's always at a vending machine? Like, that's not even foreshadowing for the vending machine isekai, which I did watch this season. That's literally just what happens in the show. I don't know if my pattern recognition senses are getting better, hopefully they are, but I just couldn't help but come away thinking, damn, these kids really like these vending machines in particular. This is the perfect vending machine propaganda in Japan. Outside of that, the love interest square was all over the place and pretty hard to follow. Koyuki and the tall guy whose name I can't remember literally have the perfect chemistry together, and I'd be guilty of assuming that those two would be dating based on how much time they spent together. Hell, even Miki headcanons them both as a couple for a good portion of it. And while it's sort of established that Minato was interested in Koyuki for a while, it still had hints of a kind of whiplash that I just wasn't vibing with all that much. Overall, it was always going to have big shoes to fill, especially when the show's first season aired in between You and I Are Polar Opposites first season, as it was by the same author, a few months ago, and its second season airing by the time this video is live. And it did an admirable job in doing what it could, but there just weren't as many aspects I could latch onto to give it a higher rating. B tier. 100 scenes of a Wajima. When it comes to episodic shows, they can be a dime a dozen as well as hit or miss. But this one has a certain element that gives credence to the idea that this anime can be worth watching. Truthfully, we may follow the actions of everybody around one singular character, but the true main character of the show is the school building itself. This show emphasizes that every single person that goes here has a story to tell, whether they have a higher goal in the world or whether they flame out and go their own way. And I also like that with certain people, their reputation of being a student at this school is what drives them in their lives forward. But it also doesn't go out of their own way to outright jam that information down your throat. It's calm and gentle, and it doesn't do anything extraordinary, but it doesn't need to, and it knows that. The storytelling for each episode is the highlight of the show, hands down, and I don't really have much criticism for it. It's not the most interesting subject in the world, but that's okay. I enjoy it for what it is, and I have a hunch that a show like this could age well way down the line if any future viewers come around to watch it. A tier. The beginning after the end, second season. In the tier list for when this show's first season aired, I gave the biggest possible benefit of the doubt for what's being displayed, which in hindsight was probably a mistake since it didn't deserve it. Because even through all its massive faults, I could see the interesting aspects of where the story was going. Season 2 has made drastic improvements in almost every department. The animation has the biggest upgrade by far, but the voice acting seems more solid, the dialogue is witty and keeps me engaged, and the plot developments genuinely want me clamoring for more. But in light of all of that, just because it finally has the elements of what a true finished product of an anime is supposed to have, doesn't mean my opinion of it should be changed to be more positive of it. This show basically drops one scene of what Teshia's goal is outside of the Elves' Kingdom, which the show seemingly completely abandons, and then every other appearance she has for the season, she's acting like a one-dimensional lovesick high school student with a crush on Arthur, whose only personality trait is being just that. Is this what they call character deconstruction? I don't know about you, but I'd call it character demolition. And I could go on to talk about the villains that are present here, but this has already gone on too long for me to care. My rating has not and will not change, as it keeps a solid D tier. The Vending Machine Isekai Season 3. My comfort slop has returned for a third season. And for the third time, it does not fail in allowing me to enjoy it for what it is. This is true turn your brain off material. However, I do think it is the weakest in comparison to the previous 2 seasons, although it does have its own mix of highlights and lowlights. Overall, this season had me feeling like the show needed to rush past certain plot points just to get to the end, which was alright? I wasn't all that engaged with the dungeon hopping nor the arc with the stone puzzle and the dungeon lord behind it. I also got a little bit tired of how everything just seemed to solve itself coincidentally without any consequences whatsoever. There was like no visible casualties anywhere, to the point where the army of like 10 to 20 people or whatever took out hundreds or thousands of frog and pig monsters or something without a hint of damage on them. Season 2 had more stakes involved when the monsters invaded the character's home village. The only kind of threatening being was the Netherlord himself, and even then, in the final battle, he basically bored me with his display of talk, don't show, instead of the other way around. But enough with the negatives, let's talk about the good stuff. Boxo here continues to be great, even going through a new evolution, and it's the best one yet because now he can drive a car. No, but for real, even I never knew like half of these things displayed in the show could be sold in a vending machine. What the hell do they put in those cornflakes over there in Japan? And although it was only temporary, I actually was heavily invested in the group's reactions and how they were all so deeply connected to Boxo that they'd go out of their way to rescue him even after there was a thought in their heads that they lost him for good. It made for a really nice characterization moment after all the time the group had spent with him and how much they came to know his generosity and reliability. This third season was still a fun watch, but it didn't exactly land the smoothest in the grand scheme of things, which is why I'm giving it a high C tier. And now, it's time for our brand new segment, the Ecchi Zone. For this season, we have 4 contestants duking it out to see which ecchi can truly pass the test to put your meat puppet to rest. How will they fare? Will they exceed expectations, or will they be discarded like other degenerate shows before, like a crumpled wad of tissue? The first contestant of the Ecchi Zone will be Marika-chan's love meter malfunction. Have you ever wanted to obtain a power where you can see the levels of affection that someone has for you in the form of a thermometer of love? No, and you shouldn't. People's feelings should stay private until they say otherwise. This is a yawner, this is a snoozer, and I'm glad it wasn't more than 5 to 6 minutes an episode, if even that. F tier. Ingoku Danchi. This is the story of a manager that just wants to protect his apartment complex from the evil forces of perverted housewives? And it's not good in the slightest. In fact, it's just outright forgettable. Too many characters introduced in 12 episodes that only span for 3.5 minutes each, and even with a different kink in every episode, I could not remember any names or faces outside of the one person that's posted on the cover art. And then there's several mentions of the manager's mysterious father that managed the complex before him, but we don't even see his face or know his name, yet we hear about how the manager wants to avenge him? Did he die or something? Did he turn into one of the housewives? I'd argue that last question would be more interesting to ponder than watching the entirety of this show. That's still not saving it from the F tier here. Yoa Yoa Sensei. Now this is ecchi. Lots of boobs, lots of ass, and lots of lusting after your teacher as what every high school student that's hopefully gone through puberty does. And you better be prepared for what I'm about to tell you because this show contains a lot of boredom! This show has the cliche format of misunderstandings millions of times, dere tropes, and oh no, I fell on main character Sama's dick again situations, but it doesn't even try to reinvent itself to make it stand out. I was tired of what the show had to offer by episode 2 and mentally checked out by episode 3. But I stuck it out to the end just for you guys because I love you all, so you guys should subscribe. The only reason this show doesn't belong at the bottom of the barrel is due to the art style being kind of photogenic and somewhat pleasing to the eyes. Outside of that, it doesn't belong anywhere higher than D tier, and if it was a tier in this list, it would go in D-. Do you like big girls? Wait a second. This isn't just an ecchi. This is something bigger. Bigger than an ecchi. This is a hentai!
I have to break your neck. It's just the way it is.
Let me tell you, this show is a curse, and I genuinely believe that I won't be able to look at the ecchi genre the same way ever again. And it is for one reason and one reason only. If you ever watched or read hentai on certain sites, you've most likely come across a scene where some of the lower body areas are more or less censored, whether it was pixelated, whether the brightness of the sun was cast upon it, or whether it was blacked out or had multiple lines in very specifically shaped places. But this show has passed the point of no return. This show has crossed the Rubicon into a territory no other show has gone before. This show made the decision to contain all of its spicy scenes uncensored. Weebs have finally won! We did it! And if it's truly marketing itself as an ecchi, then that probably means it has or had a higher chance of actually airing on television, even if it was on demon time hours. In addition to that, who knew volleyball could be so fun to watch? Surely there isn't another anime out there that specializes in volleyball and makes it just as fun to watch and follow along with, right? If I were to judge this show based off how much it pushes the envelope for the anime industry, it would go in the highest of S tier. But it belongs in C tier, and I can't justify putting it any higher. And that concludes the ecchi zone. Will there be stronger contenders for the next season? Will there be any contenders for the next season? Until I watch them, find out next time, 3 months from now, on the ecchi zone. Now, moving back onto the regular tier list with Akane Banashi. Guys, I genuinely don't know what to say with this show. I am blown away with this one, and this is not only my dark horse show of the season, but it's just one of my favorites of the year overall. The main character is literally Sung Jin Woo in the Rakugo world, but with actual writing. And not just actual writing, but amazing writing to boot. The direction here is just fantastic, and its environmental display is so well thought out that when any performer started their performance, I became so immersed in it, and pictures in my head were the clearest they could be. The art of storytelling is something I've never really thought about in an IRL sense before, but this anime is showing how fun it could be, whether it be in a professional manner or more casual, and it gives a new perspective on the POV of the characters in said stories that you can imagine yourself living in the shoes of. And to continue the glaze session here, Akane is far and away the best character in the show just off her demeanor alone. I love when the main character is humble and willing to be a student of the game, yet confident enough that they know they're gonna dominate the field without a second thought. That is my favorite character archetype, hands down. I could make a whole video on this show and other aspects of Rakugo in anime as a whole, but for the time being, I'll just drop it into S tier. If you're someone who wants to step out of their comfort zone to explore an unconventional activity like Rakugo, this is an absolute must watch. Kill Blue. Starting this one off by mentioning, this is the OP of the season, if not the OP of the year. It could have some stiff competition by summer and fall, but until then, this is my pick. As for the rest of the show, my expectations have been whelmed. And that's a good thing. I had heard about its manga getting very high praise because of viewers' opinions and backing them up with manga sales behind it. And this show seemed to match that sentiment in my opinion. It's simple, not entirely too deep or complex, but where it really shines is in its characters and its comedy. Sure, you have the overarching plot of Juzo trying to get back to his old body along with him being a hitman, but during his forced journey into being a middle school student, he starts to open up with his has new friends and begins to feel actual happiness in it. And that's where the real fun lies. This show has charm to it and is easy for people to watch if they know what they're getting into. That's why this is getting into the low A tier. Witch Hat Atelier. This show's manga has been gradually receiving more and more hype, so much so that it's been dubbed the third part of the big three of the fantasy genre, joining Frieren and Dungeon Meshi through way of its story composition and especially paneling. But the question remains, does the anime live up to the hype that so many people have given it in months and years past? You're goddamn right it does! The fantasy genre has been on a tear the last few years, with the third of the supposed Big Fantasy 3 finally airing its first season, and everything in it has been a sight to behold. Seeing a power system as simple yet simultaneously complex and creative as what's presented here can bring so many possibilities, if not infinite amounts, as far as the human mind can reach. It's so intuitive and inclusive that I didn't even know that there was a ride-along drawing book that was presented by Mother's Basement in his video about the manga on his second channel. Not to mention, this is the studio that produced Zom 100, another beautiful post-apocalyptic zombie-infested anime where even through its challenges and production setbacks to get that season finished up by any means necessary, it still gives us an idea of the quality that it's capable of. And they did not hold back, nor did they disappoint with Witch Hat Atelier. This show does not care to cut corners in the animation department or in its environmental storytelling. Every character here stands out in the only way they know how, especially Kefri and Agot. Nothing feels rushed here, and its slice of life moments actually let you sit back and breathe and take in the surroundings you're immersed in. This is just an incredible show, and I'm incredibly excited to see season 2 drop now that it's been confirmed in production. This is a bona fide S tier, and you need to watch it if you're looking to have a refreshing show on the fantasy side. Marriage Toxin. I'll be fully transparent with you, I was not hopeful for this one in the slightest. The story of an infamous hitman of the 5 great families and his attempts to settle down and get married was just not something I imagined myself gravitating towards, but I couldn't be more happy to be proven wrong. This show is just straight up amazing. First and foremost, he's not in school. Automatic points in my book. Second of all, he specializes in a non-supernatural power, with that being poison. Add more points there. And third, seeing how clearly they paint him as an awkward guy who's just stepping into the dating scene for the first time in his late 20s, early 30s, and learning how to integrate himself into normal human society, it's just so fun. I can't think of any other word to describe it. But the cream of the crop this show has to offer belongs to the action. It's rare when a show puts in the effort to make every single fight as entertaining as they are. And I don't mean most of them where one fight wasn't exactly considered a fight and thus mostly forgotten about. No, I mean every single fight straight up. This show does such a great job at displaying the right elements to show the main character being the top of the industry for a reason, while at the same time being so unassuming that anybody else would think he's just a regular, everyday, normal guy. Now, whether my lowered expectations at the beginning of the show were a factor into the ranking of this show, I'm not sure. But this is another S tier show, and I recommend it to anybody looking for a more mature show and something that doesn't take place in a high school. Rooster Fighter. This is probably an unpopular opinion, but Rooster Fighter is exactly what anime is supposed to be all about. And I mean that unironically. There's not many shows out there that have an animal as a main character, with the only other one I can personally think of being So I'm a Spider, So What? But you simply just slap some supernatural powers onto several talking chickens here, make them fight demons, turn your brain off, and have yourself a hell of a time watching it. But even through the absurdity of it all, there is some actual substance here within its story and characters. After swearing his life to destroying any and all demons, Keiji did what he thought was impossible and actually befriended some of them in his quest to destroy the demon that took his sister. Pyoko tags along with Keiji, mostly so she can carry out a sense of duty and justice that was given to her from her adoptive father. That's just 2 points out of many I could praise for its characters. And speaking of absurdity, the comedy in the show is just fantastic, especially in the scene where Keiji was forced to go on a group date with other pigeons, and the way he just crumbles when he gets even the slightest bit of praise is just gut-busting, dude. But overall, the real highlight of the show has to go to the voice actor for Keiji, Kenta Miyake. This guy has done such an incredible job of bringing the emotion of this chicken to life, and he's made him the perfect role as a main character. What I've come to realize here, and this should be a rule of thumb, is that when you're dealing with the voice that made All Might into the character he is, you're going to have a good time. A tier. Wisteria Wand and Sword Season 2. If Season 1 was more on the mindless side of awesome action and fantasy, Season 2 is catharsis for the people who wanted more, because this season gave us so much more. And before I go on with the show, I just need to get this off my chest. Genuinely, how the hell did they make this singular sequence of frames in the OP possible? This literally lives in my head rent-free since it's timed so well with the song and the section it goes into, and oh my god, I love it so much! It's so smooth and flows so well, and that with the color scheme in the background, I have no idea why this stupid small sequence just tickles my brain the way it does. It bugs me to no end. Did you know I'm afraid of lightning and thunder? Anyways, actually reviewing the anime, the weight of what's at stake now really makes itself be known and felt, and it seems like bedlam is occurring all throughout the city. The villains make their first true appearance, and though we don't know much about them, I love their design, and I love the mysteriousness of who and what they are and how they operate in the grand scheme of things. And not just that, but the story doesn't feel contrived here, nor do any beats of it feel like an ass pull. Will's journey has taken so many twists and turns where you can't help but sit back and accept that everything he's done is unabashedly earned. This season has so much grittiness to it, as well as having its beautiful and pretty moments all around. And I'm only more and more invested since we got confirmation of Season 3 this early. And although it's not a relatively perfect season, I'm still giving it the S tier ranking as a dark horse that continues to surprise the viewers that watch it. Demons of the Shadow Realm. I've slowly come to the realization that whatever Hiromu Arakawa puts to a paper, there will be magic that exudes it. And if you don't know who Hiromu Arakawa is, she is the creator of Full Metal Alchemist, and she does not skip a beat in the slightest with this new show here. Even better yet, the same studio that worked on Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood returns yet again to adapt one of her newer works, and it repeatedly demonstrates why Arakawa and Studio Bones are a perfect fit. Yuru as a main character is just great. His ability to slowly adapt his way to modern technology while still keeping to his old ways makes way for a uniqueness you don't see much, if ever, in other shows. Plus, he's not loud. He's not abrasive or annoying. He can make mistakes like any other normal person his age can. He's just very likable overall. His demons also make for great supports with infectious and relatable personalities. All three of them are great fighters too. The Kagemoris are all really interesting as well. Great and unique diversity in monster design, powers, and abilities make for dynamic interactions between all of the fights. If Full Metal Alchemist is at 100 on a figurative scale, then Demons of the Shadow Realm is like at an 85 to 90. Very enjoyable, but you can tell it hasn't reached its full potential yet. This is one of the only shows I'm watching that will extend into next season, and I'll most likely judge what's to come in the tier list ranking at the end of that time period. So for episodes 1 through 12, I'll be putting it in the high A tier. Nippon Sengoku. If it means nothing else, this is in the running for my top 10 year-end shows, hands down. And I'm so mad at myself that I didn't pick it up when it first started airing and I had to catch up to it. I actually don't know where to begin here. First and foremost, the premise of Japan splitting into 3 countries and fighting each other for control is so unique that I can't help but watch it play out. Second of all, the character drama is a treat to watch. The plot here respects your intelligence as well and doesn't pull any punches. Legitimate war strategies are used and executed greatly. This plot makes it so that you come away with the notion that no one country is truly evil at heart. The only true evil person is this little bastard. He gave me a reason to hate him from the very first episode, and I was so invested into his downfall. Even if we had to play the long game, that the levels of suffering I wanted to see him go through would not be suitable for YouTube, but more so on my Patreon. But even then, this little conniving rat had his season 4 episode 7 Thrag level moment, and only then did I truly respect the level of the power he possessed. He is a great character for all the worst reasons, and the main character himself, Aoteru, is a demon of his own right. Even when Tyra did what he did in the first episode, Aoteru was able to put his head down and tell him straight to his face, no matter how long it may take, and no matter what happens between now and then, I will take any and every strategy to make sure you will be 6 feet under, and I will not stop until you meet your last breath, without explicitly saying it out loud. I love this character from the bottom of my heart, and I only want to see him succeed. He is a fantastically written character. So many moving parts in this anime that it probably deserves its own video. Just a beautiful show all around. I'd talk more about it, but this video is already as long as it is, so I'm giving it S tier and calling it a day. And that is the Spring 2026 tier list. The questions for this season are, did this anime season live up to the hype that everyone gave it? Absolutely. Did this season set itself in the upper echelon of seasons to be remembered as one of the most historic in the anime industry? This was a tough question, but I'm gonna say it fell just short of that. But that's not to say that this season doesn't have its own genuine diamonds in the rough or top of the class level shows. This season has so many of them, it can make your head spin. More often than not, you will have yourself a show that you didn't know you'd enjoy as much as you did. And if we're looking ahead into the next season, we could be looking at another contender for a spot on the Mount Rushmore for anime seasons. Thank you for watching the video to the very end. Let me know down in the comment section which show you liked the most or which one you'd like the least. And out of the ones that I didn't watch, let me know which shows you would recommend. If you want to support me elsewhere, my other channels, which are more stream related, will be down in the description. If you would like to join the Discord, I'm always there 24/7, and that will be down in the description of this video as well. So come say hi and talk some anime with us there. I'm genuinely excited for what the next season has to offer. So with that, I hope you all have an amazing day or night, and I will catch you all in the next video. Peace.